Good day, boys and girls. Today we're going to work through task 4.18. I hope you have already done it. You need to do it first before you work through the video. On the 28th of February 2002, the following balances appeared amongst others in the pre-adjustment trial balance of SE Traders. Office equipment at cost, 49,600. This is the balance on the 28th of February. So in the general ledger, in our equipment account, we will start off with this balance. So that's the first thing you write in is the balance. And the balance is on the 28th of February. Equipment is an asset and therefore has a debit balance. Accumulated depreciation on office equipment, it's the balance on the 1st of March. Remember, we only calculate depreciation at the end of the financial year. And remember that accumulated depreciation has a credit balance. The office equipment included a cash register with a cost of 6,000, which had to be replaced by an electrical one. So we have disposed of a cash register with a cost of 6,000. On the 28th of February 2002, the cash register was sold on credit to J. Jokili, the trade debtor, for 1,700. The accumulated depreciation on the cash register included the balance of 13,840 was 2,800. So we have an asset that we have disposed of, which had a cost of 6,000 and accumulated depreciation of 2,800. It was sold on the 28th of February 2002, which is the end of the financial year. So the balance of 2,800 is part of the balance on the 1st of March. So we still have this asset for a whole year before we sold it, since the last time we have calculated depreciation. Okay, so we have now what we need to record the details of the asset disposal. Let's say depreciation is provided on office equipment at 20% per annum on cost. So you need to open the relevant accounts, make the necessary journal entries to record the above transaction and post to the relevant ledger accounts, and make the adjustment and closing journal entries, post to the ledger and balance the accounts with the exception of the final account on the 28th of February 2000. Now remember, we need to follow the steps, and it's important that you study these steps and that you know them off by heart. So step number 1 is to update the depreciation on this asset that was sold on the 28th of February 2002 for 1,700 on credit. So we need to draw our timeline so that we can see exactly what happened. And the first thing what we notate on this timeline is our financial year, which ended on the 28th of February 2002, meaning that it started on the 1st of March 2001. Okay, and we have sold it at the end of the financial year, which means we had it still for a whole year. We need to calculate depreciation on this asset for a year. The cost was 6,000. Depreciation is calculated on cost. The accumulated depreciation up to the last point that we have calculated depreciation was 2,800. So now we need to update it with the current 12 months. The rate is 20% per annum on cost. So 6,000 times 20%, we had it for a whole year, equals 1,200. So we need to update the accumulated depreciation of 2,800 with 1,200. So the total depreciation on this asset is going to be 2,800 plus the 1,200. And that equals a total of 4,000. So in the general journal, our entry stays the same. We always debit the depreciation and we will credit accumulated depreciation on equipment. Next, step number 2 is to transfer the cost price of the asset to the asset disposal account, and we do that by debiting asset disposal and by crediting the equipment account, transfer of the cost price. Then it's step number 3, which is the transfer of the accumulated depreciation of this asset. So we debit accumulated depreciation with the 4,000, that's now the 2,800 plus the 1,200, and by crediting the asset disposal account. And then we need to bring into account the selling price. We have sold it on credit to J. Jacquill. So J. Jacquill is going to owe us more, so his account needs to be debited as well as debtors control, and asset disposal will be credited, and that is then step number 4. Step number 5 is to calculate whether we have made a profit or loss. Okay, so to do that, we need to calculate whether we have made a profit or a loss. We will get to that calculation a little bit later, but we've made a loss of 300. The loss on disposal of asset will be debited and the asset disposal account will be credited. And that's the loss made on the sale of asset. And that leaves us then with step number 6, which is to calculate the depreciation on the remaining assets. Now, we need to calculate that. Again, it's very helpful to draw a timeline. The first thing that we notate on this timeline is the accounting year or the financial year. The total cost of our assets, according to the balance, was 49,600. So, that 49,600, we have disposed of an asset with a cost of 6,000. So, we need to subtract that 6,000. Then we times it by 20%, and that equals then 8,720. So, that is the depreciation on the remaining assets. So we need to debit depreciation with the 8,720, and we need to credit the accumulated depreciation on equipment, and that is then the depreciation written off on the remaining assets. So how will our ledger account look like? We had a balance in our equipment account of 49,600. We have credited it with 6,000 for our asset disposal. So if we credit equipment, we need to debit the asset disposal account. That's our posting of our journal entries. We can now balance our equipment account, and that leaves us with 43,600, which is also equal to our remaining assets. Then we have depreciation. The first entry is for the depreciation that we updated on the asset that we disposed of. So depreciation would be debited with 1,200, and accumulated depreciation will be credited with 1,200. And then we have transferred the total accumulated depreciation from the accumulated depreciation on equipment accounts, which means we have to debit it, and crediting the asset disposal account. Now please remember this 4,000 is the 2,800 at the beginning of the year and the 1,200 that we've calculated just now. Then we also have the depreciation on the remaining assets, 1,720. So we credited accumulated depreciation and we debited depreciation. Now, please note, we have 2 entries for depreciation on the credit side of the accumulated depreciation account. One, where we updated the depreciation on the asset that we have disposed of, and 2, the calculation of the depreciation on the remaining assets. Please don't add them up together. Keep it 2 separate entries. So you will not only have 1 entry for depreciation on the credit side of accumulated depreciation, you will have 2 when you have disposed of an asset. Then we can balance our accumulated depreciation account. By this time you need to know how to balance. Please, if you don't, find out. Then we can finalize the asset disposal account. We have on our debit side our cost, on our credit side the accumulated depreciation. Then we need to credit it with debtors control, 1,700. Remember, we sold it on credit. So if we now look at this account, we have 6,000 Rand on the debit side, which is more than the 5,700 on the credit side, which means my missing amount is on the credit side, and that therefore represents the loss on disposal of asset 300, and we have to debit loss on disposal of asset 300, which will be closed and transferred to the profit and loss account.